Welcome back to Sunrise. We are still in Autism Awareness Month. Last week we broke down the autism diagnosis and outlined coping mechanisms for parents as well as the kids. This week we delve deeper into the relationship between autism and screen time. Very interesting. Autism and screen time. Joining us this morning once more for part 2 is our special guest, speech language pathologist, Ann-Merita Golding. So I say again, welcome to Sunrise.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I was telling you before we start that I'm from a family of stutterers. My father stuttered, and I have a brother who is trained school of drama. So he managed to control it, but he stutters.
Yes, I do know that.
And one is watching right now who stutters also.
Yes, but they are comfortable stutterers. They do it without any ill feelings or embarrassment, and that's where we try to get our clients to when they do stutter, acceptance.
No impediments, yes.
Yeah. Definitely. To the matter of autism and screen time, last week you touched on it because we opened up the conversation to explore the fact that especially at critical stages of cognitive development, the screen time can be an impediment.
Right.
But for those who are just joining the conversation for the first time, what is that relationship with now autism and screen time, which is something that we turn to as parents? We do. It's the age in which we live.
Right. So we live in the age of technology.
Yes.
So there's no going around it. There will be technology use. However, the disproportionate use of technology is what is really the issue. Screen time is being introduced at a very early age, sometimes before the child is even walking. And the American Academy of Pediatrics has recommended that before 18 months, children should not have any screen time. We need to remember that there is critical brain development happening between ages 0 and 3. And so everything that we do in that period of time can have impact on the child. Between 18 and 24 months, it is recommended that a child can have accompanied viewing of 1 hour of learning or educational material. So a lot of people will say to me, oh, well, my child is under 1, but they are watching Miss Rachel or they're watching nursery rhymes. But what they don't realize is that it's not just about what they're watching, it's about the development of the brain, what the child is seeing, the rapid movement of pictures on the screen and how that impacts them, and the chemical reactions happening within the brain. So these are the things that can negatively impact. Now, as it pertains to autism, because of the overuse of screen time, what you find is that a lot of the symptoms associated with autism, deficits in attention, deficits in social communication skills, and deficits in social behaviors and social interaction, these are things that can be impacted by the use of or overuse of screen time especially. So you find that parents tend to give the iPad or the tablet or the phone to help a child self-soothe and also to help them in a way where they're not a distraction to them. This is an issue because we never did that growing up. We had to go play, we had to, even things like downtime. Kids don't have downtime. They're constantly wired. The release of dopamine within the brain that keeps us going and excited. It's very excitable. Our kids, when you substitute that device with a book, just a children's book, how long do you think that child is going to sit on that book? I guarantee you they'll look at it for less than 5 minutes, if even 5 minutes.
I want to ask, we're going to be pausing for news, but I want to ask when we get back, because with autism, there are varying different developmental challenges. There can be superior brain development as well as impairment. So how do you deal with the two with screen time? Well, we'll take the answer after. Let's pause this morning. Well, news with TK is coming up, so we go on standby at 7. Right back. Pick things up when we return.
Thanks for staying with us here on Sunrise. If you are just joining us, thanks for coming along. We are having a very interesting conversation with speech language pathologist Ann-Merita Golding. Welcome back, Ann-Merita.
Thanks for having me again.
So before the break, we were, exploring some very important issues about screen time and autism and the relationships and some of the things that we need to be mindful of. You were about to make a point that IT quite ably set up.
Right, so IT, you had referred to a lot of kids being at different points on the spectrum, and that's true. There are no two children on the spectrum that are the same. They have different strengths and different weaknesses. But when we are looking at autism and looking at the deficits that contribute to that diagnosis of autism, we look at, remember, autism is a disorder of social communication and social behaviors. And how children interact with the world around them. And so this sometimes can be very consistent to varying degrees. And so when you begin to introduce screens, and the screens, there's a heavy use and overuse of screens, that child is not learning language and social communication skills, certainly in the way we did growing up when there were no screens. And so we need parents, I want to caution parents, listen, children learn through modeling. They learn through social interaction. That is how we are biologically wired to learn communication and language. However, if you are replacing social interaction and that modeling with screens, then children are not learning a number of things. They're not learning vocabulary. They're not learning nonverbal skills and learning how to read nonverbal behaviors. Also, we're missing great opportunities through daily tasks like cooking and playing with our children, talking to them in the supermarket or when we're driving, having real conversations, kids going outside to play in the mud when it's raining or splash in puddles. You know, getting the soap and the shaving cream, all the things we used to be curious about. This is how we learn about our world, and this is how we learn language and communication. So if we're not modeling that, if we're even just allowing kids to not even know how to be by themselves, to have novel thoughts, to be creative, these are things that are impacted when there is an overuse of screens.
You know, you're saying, speaking about the screen time and limiting or managing screen time for the children, but it sounds also that you're suggesting that we need to manage the screen time for ourselves when we're around the children, because in many ways we could be neglecting opportunities for engagement and cognitive development.
Absolutely, and I'm very happy that you raised that, because I think all of us on our smartphones are alerted to how much time we use our smartphones for the week. Sometimes it's upwards of 5-6 hours on screen time. And if you think about it, that a lot of that time could be used in interacting with our children, in modeling behaviors, in reading with our children. Our children are not learning the use of vocabulary, especially complex vocabulary. They're not learning how to interact, how to have conversation, how to initiate conversations, because it's not something that you learn off a screen. I tell parents, remember, there is a lot coming at that child. We don't know what they're processing, and we don't know how they're processing. And they don't have the tools to use what is coming at them to benefit them in the world they live in. So these are all components that we need to put away our screens. We need to designate a screen-free time during the day. For me, certainly I'm a mother, for me, bath time and bedtime is a very important time for me to catch up with my child on her day, to find out what happened today, what were the highs, the lows, the in-betweens, who got in trouble at school, how did you react to that, how do you feel about that? So when you have these...
You sound like you're asking more specific questions, because sometimes you say, how was your day? It was fine. Good.
No, one answer, no.
Like, I like those specific questions that you're saying.
You have to be the leader here. Kids only do what we allow them to do and what we facilitate for them. So parents, I'm really hoping that the parents hear me. Substitute the screen time with your child and activity. And even when you're busy, Send them outside to play. Send them outside to ride a bicycle. You know, it's okay if they have nothing to do. It's okay if they need to be a child and be a little bit disturbing to other people. It is at a detriment to our society if we don't act. And it's not just about autism, it's all children.
That's the point.
It just impacts those who are on the spectrum negatively because the increase in screen time already takes away even more from them.
That's a very, very important point to end on. It's not only children with autism, but all children are impacted negatively when screen time is overused. Of course, that was Ann-Merita Golden, speech language pathologist. Same thing as speech therapist, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yes, it's now time to go back to...
informed.
A quick break. NCB pay is up when we return. I always try to confuse, but...
No, it's so...